What does success look like to me? What am I driving towards? And those things are very personal. It's amazing what you can accomplish when there's trust in the room. And when you remove that trust, it's remarkable how inefficient you can become.
And when you've got guys around you who are buying into your vision and pushing towards the same thing, it's energizing. Thanks for joining us here on another beautiful day. Kenton here and Josh. We're just here to, again, talk about life. So what's going on, Kenton?
Well, I was thinking about a few different things. I recently had a good chat with one of my longtime business buddies that I haven't chatted with for years. And we were going over some different challenges in our life and different things that we're going through. And just some interesting real world challenges that we have that are kind of not something that you talk about all the time. And it reminded me, and I'll preface it with this memory of these friends that I had, little friends. They weren't exactly little, they were just slight. And I had this buddy that grew up in Venezuela, in Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela, which is a wild city. Like he would always tell one of my other buddies that my other buddy would never survive in Caracas. Whenever that guy pretended to be tough, he's like, "You go to my city, man, you get trumped instantly." And so he was from Venezuela, and he ended up marrying a girl from Seattle. We met them in Southern Europe when we were out there, and wonderful people, just fantastic. She was quite proper and prim, and he was just crazy. And so he had been a gang leader in Venezuela, and he was like a really tough dude. He would tell us stories. He said that if you were riding your bike as a kid in Venezuela, like just cruising along, as a teenager or whatever, and he says because the traffic's crazy, he says if you smash into the side of the vehicle, he says you hit the ground. And he said, and in the same motion, you get up and you just start running. He said, because they'll want to kill you, man. He says that's just, and in fairness, Venezuela, I'm sure, is like many places where there's tons of amazing people, but it's a pretty wild place to be. When he was 18, he got 18 stitches in his gut. He was in a knife fight, and he was just one of these guys. He was violent, he was crazy, and he lived the city life. Like, that's what he did. And his wife was like Western American, clean home, going to church and all this stuff. And he did have a come into God moment when he was 18 and got his stitches. He said he was laying in the hospital and realized he had to change his life. But the interesting part about their story that I found interesting was that when the girl from the States went down to meet his family, she said even though this guy and his brothers had been like absolute crazy dudes, the one thing that they never did was disrespect their mother. She said that the honor that they showed to their mother was like profound. And she said way, way, way beyond the honor that her and her siblings showed to her mom back in the States. Even though if you looked at them on the surface, you would consider like these guys are rough and crazy and wild. And she came from a very, proper, well-groomed household. And she said, but the level of respect and honor they showed was just remarkably different. And it got me to thinking, honor is a word that we don't wrestle with much. And I've been thinking about honor a ton over the last while. And I'm not exactly sure why, but it's just been something on my mind. And my buddy and I were discussing it. And in the business world, we talk about trust a lot. Yeah. We talk about honesty and integrity. We talk about vision. We talk about leadership. We talk about a lot of these different things. But honor is not exactly trust.
No.
It's not exactly leadership. It's not exactly respect. It's something different. And
I can't even pinpoint what, though.
Exactly. So this is why I want to kind of dig into it, because I feel like honor is something that we need to wrap our heads around. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I've been trying to wrap my head around. And where it takes me initially is back to the 10 Commandments way back in the day. So we're talking about some of the earliest, like one of the earliest examples of like, this is how you should live your life. Way back in the Old Testament, it talks about honor your father and your mother. And then if you do so, it will be well with you. You will live a good life, basically. But you need to honor your father and your mother, which on the flip side, saying if you dishonor your father and your mother, chances are your life will not be as good as it could be or should be.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty wild weight placed on honor.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this is that not all parents are honorable. But
interesting.
But there's no room for that.
You're supposed to honor them regardless.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this brings a lot of questions into my mind. Because when you move to a business setting, and so if we move away from parents, but you move to a business setting, could it be said, is it possible that honor is a prerequisite to doing well or to doing as well as you should be doing? Is honor a component of business that we just don't talk about because we don't understand or we don't like it?
Well, the main area I've heard of honor is that exact circumstance you just said.
Yeah.
Like honor their father and their mother.
Yeah.
Like that's, whenever I hear the word honor, when you even first said it, that's what my brain instantly went to. It's like, oh yeah, honor mom and dad.
Yeah.
But like, what's an example of where honor's a big point in business?
Well, in relationships in business, there is typically a pretty clear hierarchy. And I know and I understand that in our current day and age, there's a lot of pushback against hierarchy. I get that. But I am not one of those people that pushes back against hierarchy. I love to know whether I'm supposed to be leading someone or I'm supposed to be following someone. Yeah. I really like clarity.
And who's keeping who accountable. Oh,
yeah. And I'm totally cool with leading someone in one sphere of life and then following that same person in another sphere. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yep.
And I think if most of us are honest, we're not opposed to hierarchy, most of us. I think that where the pushback against hierarchy comes is that people think that hierarchy equals the establishment. They think that establishment equals tyranny, and that therefore like the strong prey on the weak. And so therefore hierarchy is bad. I don't think hierarchy is either good or bad. I think it can be used for evil or it could be used for good.
Yeah.
And so, but for me personally, even if there's ill intent in someone who's leading me, it still helps me to know that they're leading me.
Yeah. But is honor directly tied to leadership specifically?
So,
because the other area I hear of honor is like honoring your word, honoring a contract, honoring, you know, being a man of your word is like a form of honor.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do, is the word honest attached to honor? Like if you make an accord or an agreement with somebody, you're going to be honest about it. You're going to honor it. Are those two words similar? Or am I just making that up?
I'm guessing the root, and you know what? I'm not sure on that. I'm guessing the root might have some similar roots, but I think that the essential meaning is not the same. I feel like trust and honor are close. I think that trust and honor are closer than any other attribute that I can think of as far as in a business relationship. And so we talk about trust, the speed of trust with the Covey book, which is a wonderful book. And if you haven't read it, read the book. Like it's so well worth it. We speak about earning trust, and we speak about like if your trust is broken, then repairing trust takes time and effort.
Yeah.
And it takes looking that straight in the eye. And I think that there's a lot of information out there on that from a business standpoint, because I think we've recognized, thanks to the Coveys and others that have pinpointed it, that trust is a massive catalyst to good business. And without it, it's really tough to do good business. And it's something that we've talked about in snippets, different podcasts through time.
Yeah.
But honor is different, because honor, I feel like from what I read, from history, from a lot of different standpoints, honor is not necessarily earned in the same way.
Yeah.
Honor is more about position.
Yeah.
And therefore it requires something of us that I think is not that popular in our current culture, because it requires something from us that we can feel is unfair or unjust, and that we typically, at least I think I can say we typically will shy away from. Because if you're not honorable, then why should I honor you?
Yeah. But what makes somebody honorable?
Well,
Like, to me, again, it's a trustworthy. Well, no, it's more than that. To be an honorable person is somebody who's upstanding and almost like carries a position.
yeah,
But they've earned that position. It's not given to them.
maybe,
Oh, man.
but maybe not. And I think this is a wrestle. Like, so let's just go through. Let's just build a hypothetical. Let's build a story. So let's say that you are a young businessman. Okay, let's take us for example. And let's say that rather than us building two separate businesses, you came into my business.
Yeah.
I'm the senior guy, you're the junior guy.
Mm-hmm.
And in a case like that, it would seem, and I'm working this through. So I'm not coming to this discussion with a ton of answers, but I'm working this through. It would seem that there's a certain amount of honor that you would show to me as an older guy because of the track record and because I'm kind of leading the way for you.
Actually, yeah, it's the leadership, but it's also the recognition that everything, all the skills and everything I have in that position in that company came from you.
Yes.
So it's almost like you got to honor that. And that's what it almost feels like. Honor is a one way.
It kind of is. But for clarity, and I think we're maybe hesitant enough in this conversation that people know we're not experts in this, but we're wrestling with something here. And so if I am saying something that sounds super definitive, like I've got this figured out, then maybe I'm saying it too strongly, but this is something I'm trying to figure out. Mm-hmm. It feels to me like there's a reciprocity in honor, but not from the person you're honoring. But it feels to me like if you're not able to honor the people that are in a hierarchy sense ahead of you, then the people behind you are going to struggle to honor you.
Because in order to be honorable and worthy of honor, you have to first honor those you're supposed to?
Well, think of it this way. Think about someone that you know that is extremely honoring of people that are ahead of them, however that looks. Maybe age, parents is an easy thing to say because it's just simple, right? Like it's like, this is, well, for most of us at least, this is my mom, this is my dad. I'm going to honor them. And this thing about it, and I know this this is something I feel like I understand, is that if I honor my parents, one thing that does is it makes it easier for my kids to honor me. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like there's just something that just seems right about that. But I think it's bigger than that because if I honor my parents, I don't honor them just on the basis of the fact that they honored their parents, although there is something amazingly awesome in a lineage of honor.
Yeah.
And I think that with families, like we can despise families that have built fortunes and passed it on from generation to generation to generation. And I think that people can often despise them because they think, well, they're just born into privilege. They're born into wealth. But you and I both know that you can destroy a fortune in an instant. Like it does not take much to destroy a fortune. It takes an incredible amount of diligence to steward a fortune and then grow it.
Yes.
Like that is not an accident. That is not luck. That is not like being born into a fortune. That's something you can't control. But stewarding that well, that takes training. Yeah. That takes intention. That is not something that's simple. Yeah. And I do not believe that you can have a family that has passed down wealth from generation to generation without a strong attribute of honor attached to that family. I don't think it's possible.
So you're saying that's like the prerequisite, like in order to have generational wealth that's stewarded well, honor is the...
Think about it. I'm not sure.
Absolute must.
I think it is. Again, I could be wrong and I could be proven wrong. And people might say, but that person, that family may not be honorable. Like they may see them as being evil in quotation marks or not cool. But there's honor among thieves.
Oh,
Like, you think about this, like if you think about the mafia, like, there's an incredible, and now some of that is fear-based. Like, you must honor the person ahead of you.
Yeah.
But in the purest of senses, in those kind of like cartels and stuff, there's an honor system.
That's weird because honor is like, it's hard to put it in that context, because when you think of honor, it's strictly a positive, uplifting thing.
Yeah.
But it is, even honor is used amongst criminals.
It is. It is.
I feel like I don't know what honor is at all now.
Well,
I'm just going to look up a definition for fun.
yeah, do it.
Thanks, ChatGPT. Give me 3 separate definitions for biblical, social, and moral.
Okay.
But in general, honor means showing a deep sense of respect, integrity, and moral uprightness, which we just discussed.
Yeah.
Isn't always the case.
Yeah.
Towards others and towards what's right.
Yeah.
Few ways it's understood. Moral definition: living by principles of honesty, fairness, and virtue, even when no one is watching. Example: if it's a person of honor, keeps their word and does what's right regardless of the cost. Social definition: the esteem or respect given to someone because of their character or achievements. An example would be, he earned great honor for his bravery. And then the biblical definition: to honor someone is to value and respect them in both attitude and action. The Bible often uses honor to describe giving proper recognition to God, to parents, to leaders, or to others made in his image. An example is, honor your father and your mother. Exodus. It's a deep word, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
it's deep, and actually that helps.
Yeah.
There's different facets to the word for sure.
Yeah. Just looking for the core differences between honor and trust. Honor is about your character, the moral weight and integrity you carry. Trust is about somebody else's confidence in you, the result of constantly honorable behavior. That's pretty cool, actually.
That's interesting.
Thanks, ChatGPT. And then it gives like a full essay that I won't read.
So the things that I ponder as I'm working and doing the stuff that we do, and lately I've been working on my own quite a bit, and so I've had time to think. And often I don't have any earbuds in or I'm not listening to anything. It's just me and the wind. There's something about dignity. There's something about honor. There's something about living with posture and being honorable that I think really matters. And I think that we can make it sound archaic, like back in the early 1900s with people with the starch shirts and, the proper attire and all of those things. Like, this is, and kind of the dignity and respect with high society, you can kind of attach it to that. But what about in the gritty real world of the way that we live? Like, where is the place of honor? How does that look? And are there like cliffs that we could stop ourselves from running over if we just understand what honor is? Are there relationships that we could preserve? Are there business relationships that we could strengthen if we understood honor and how to give honor in a way that we haven't up to this point?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it. I mean, if it's a biblical command to honor your parents, then there's got to be some weight to that in a relational context, so that we're actually intentionally pursuing relationships with that point of view. But is honor something you can give to just anybody? Or do we seek out people who are honorable to choose to honor? Well,
so I think that sometimes we have people in our life that we may not respect in certain ways, and that we may not even trust, but maybe we need to honor.
Can you do one without the other?
I think you can.
Is that the trick?
I think you can. And at least this is what I'm wrestling with. And to be clear, there's not someone in particular in my life that I'm thinking about, should I honor this person or not? So this is more of a hypothetical that I'm running in my head, but it's also something that I run into a lot with guys that I talk to. It's like in relationships, in business, it's really easy to be, to fall back into the either let's just figure out a win-win, and if it can't be a win-win, let's not do business with somebody. And in a win-win, in a way, you're honoring each other. if you think about it.
Yeah. And I almost think that's it. That right there is where honor needs to be in business. You need to always be looking for a win-win, because if somebody's losing in
In a
one
transaction?
way, in any transaction, that's not an honorable transaction.
It doesn't feel that way. Yeah, and I mean,
no, it wouldn't be, because you're actually you're making an action promoted on your own self-gain, and you're not honoring that person.
So my only hesitation to fully agree is that sometimes perception can be a big deal. Because you know how a lot of guys that are hard negotiators, they'll say that if both people feel like they've lost, then that's a perfect negotiation. That's the other side of it, right? Like that's
a lose-lose. That's even worse.
But if you have two really tough negotiators, that's kind of the way that it'll feel to people. So I guess my point is that if it, like, you can have a win-win with someone that doesn't really understand what's going on, and they can feel and express that they've won and you've won, but you can totally take advantage of them, or vice versa. Like someone with a lot more business acumen and just a tougher negotiator can really take you for a ride if they want, and you can still feel like you've won if they have a smile on your face and you do, and you'd be like, yeah, that was great. I mean, I think it's possible, but I think if it's a true win-win, there's an element of honor attached to it. I do believe that.
Yeah, I think so.
And so I think that's interesting. What I don't think that we understand very clearly, is it not written about, or have I just not bumped into the book? Which is, I'm not saying it's not out there, but I definitely haven't seen much around this when it comes to business.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, like, is there a wake? Like, if you are able to honor people properly, that you should honor, and that's a discussion that we are kind of messing with as to who are those people and how does that look. But if you do that well, what's the result of that? I just feel like there's a lot of health that can come out of that.
But like, to a certain point, everybody you do business with, if they're not honorable and you're not able to do transactions honorably, you shouldn't be doing business with them, should you? Like, even customers.
Okay,
like,
that's fair if you are running your own show. Yeah. But what if you're an employee that works for a dishonorable boss? See, and this is where it really hits the road.
Find a different boss. But that's not always an option.
That's not always an option. Yeah. I mean, you just think about, like, let's play this out a bit. Like, let's think about this. If you are working for a large company, you may not have a personal relationship with your boss. You may only have hearsay. And that hearsay will typically come from people who, will also be running with second, third, fourth party information, right? And so you can make assumptions about your boss. But let's say that most of what you hear is negative, but you love your job and you're good at it. I mean, that's a real life circumstance.
Yeah.
And so, do you honor your boss?
Well, you are honoring your boss by contributing to his company.
If you're doing it well and with honor.
Well, I think
there's other guys who are absolutely destructive to their own company that they work for because they do not work with honor. Like, I have seen it. It's a real thing. It's like, who cares? This is a company truck. Like, let's bash it. Like, who cares? Like, there's a serious sense of dishonor with people when their boss is removed from them to some degree, or they know their boss personally but think their boss is taking advantage of them, etc.
I've seen people do that to their employers who are honorable people.
Totally.
You're just negligent and don't care.
So, but then what's the end result of that kind of action? I don't think that it's the boss that suffers the most. I think it's the individual that does not show honor that suffers the most.
Or both.
Possibly both.
Like, I think it would be both. I mean, if you've got a staff member or an employee who's not honorable, and is not honoring their position, and like, it'll affect both of you, and that's where accountability comes into play. Yeah, like, you got to have. First off, you should be trying to have people in your company who at least share your values enough and are part of what you're doing to honor your business, your customers, and everything involved in the first place. For sure. But secondarily to that, like, we're humans. We all screw up. Oh yeah. We get selfish. We get in the way of our best of intentions all the time. And especially if we don't have accountability, people can run rampant and just have terrible episodes and make mistakes all the time if the systems aren't in place to keep people in check. And if those systems are in place, you can't have somebody who's not honorable to your business and your customers will stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Like they can't be there.
But if someone really lacks honor, I don't think there's big enough systems. Like if they really lack honor, if they just refuse to honor,
I don't think they'd fit in society in general. Do you?
I mean, it's interesting. So quite a while ago, like we're talking almost 2 decades ago, I remember I had one of my staff members who was working, one of my tradesmen, good guy. He was working for this particular customer, and he came back and he's like, "Oof, that was quite a day." And I'm like, "What went on, man?" He goes, "This customer for some reason thinks that it's all of us against you because you're the boss." He's like, he was just talking the whole day. Is like, who cares? Like, spend Kenton's money this way or that way because it's your boss, man, and we really need to like basically make his life hell because he's the boss. And I'm like, what did I do? He's like, dude, you didn't do anything. It wasn't personal. It was just his mindset. And interestingly, he seemed like a pretty normal guy, and he's building a beautiful house, and we were doing really good work for him. But he just did not make the connection that like I needed to treat him well. He needed to treat me well. Like there's something worthwhile in this. And I think honor is something that plays a part. But I think in this particular guy, he was jaded to the point where he did not want to show honor at all. And I'm not saying this as like I needed honor from this individual. It's just, it was notable that this guy was like, just didn't see the reciprocity in it, didn't see how this could benefit everyone if we just treated each other well. It's interesting. And interestingly made the assumption that my employee did not honor me.
My instant thought on that is he must have a very lonely life.
Well, but okay, but
to not be able to work
I don't
with
think
people.
it's that unusual. And so I'm going to open a small can of worms because this is what we do. This is our podcast. If you disagree, start your own. But
all right, I'm feisty.
But I think that a lot of unions set it up in such a way that it's the workers against the management. Like, I really do. And I think that we're going through a lot of hell in our country right now because I think that it's gotten out of hand. Like, I really believe this. And so it's fair, and everyone knows that I'm not a huge union supporter. That said, I have great friends that work in unions, and some of them are decently healthy.
So do I. Yeah.
And I think some of them were meant to be, some of them have overstayed their welcome. Many of them are too heavy-handed. But regardless, let's say that unions are excellent. Let's say that they're wonderful, and I think that there can be, I don't think unions on their own are like they're not all the same. Let's just put it that way. However, there needs to be collaboration. There needs to be a recognition that we're working for the same goals and some sort of honor associated, because if it's us against them and you're actually working in the same company, I can't see how honor is involved, and I can't see how that leads to health.
Where I really struggle with unions is they take the honor out of it. Because it's not a working relationship between employee and employer. They're like a middleman who almost forces this entitlement onto their staff.
Well, entitlement or something that they actually need. And this is the thing. Like, I'm not against unions in all places because I just think that sometimes workers get trampled on. And and historically that's happened. And even to this day, there's times at which unions can keep a company in check. And it can help establish dignity for the worker and health for the company. Absolutely can happen. So if you hear me wrong on this, okay. But often what I see is that it's like us against management. And interestingly, I've known people that have worked on both sides, both at the same time, because some people do, because they'll be working inside the union and in management at the same time. But I feel like in a lot of those positions, and we're talking about large groups of people that can be living their life thinking that the people that pay their paycheck are actually their enemy.
Yeah.
And I think that can also filter into small business because we're not experts on unions. This is just stuff we've observed. And I think that attitude really can easily filter into small business and become a real cancer, become extremely destructive when you think about, well, as workers, we're the ones that actually make this company go. And the boss is the one that gets all the perks, which is not the truth unless it's run really poorly. But like, I think that it's easy for honor to be taken right out of the equation if people come in with the wrong mindset. And I think that there can be a real lack of health.
Man, I'm just thinking here through, like, because there's so many strikes happening in our
tons
in our community, in our government.
Yeah, I mean, you guys couldn't go to the landfill today because the people that run the landfill are striking, which means you got to ground drop your material and then get it into your that's
so
deal.
Who's losing from this?
Everybody.
And that's where like I'm really like, because we're talking about honor right now, and I'm trying to find where there's any honor in any of this, because what these unions have done in these circumstances is that they've pit the employer and the employees against each other so hard that we're nowhere even close to a win-win, to the point where it's a lose, and then the consumer's losing as well.
Well, and just the average citizen, absolutely.
And I like it's kind of interesting that it's like I've never experienced so many strikes happening at once, and I know inflation has a lot to do with it, and cost of living, and I get it. But there's almost this disconnect when you're dealing with unions and their employees, where it's just like what you're asking for is actually just going, like, somebody has to pay for all these increases. It's going to be the consumer. And it's almost like there's this just so self-focused mindset that they're not honoring the people they're actually working for or providing the service for. Yeah. It's just a very inwardly focused. And it's part of its survival, sure, because there's this...
And the thing is, and that's not to say that negotiations shouldn't happen. Like, it should happen.
But you should be looking for a win-win.
Yeah, the negotiation should happen, but I think that what happens is that if you're naturally pitted against each other, then there's not like we're on the same team. Conversely, if you have the ability to actually have a relationship with your employees and show them respect and they show you honor, then it's understood that, you are, I mean, let's be super honest. Employees are never paid what they're worth, ever. By definition, employees have to make money for their company, or else it's not worth employing them. So if you're working and you're an employee, you will not be paid what you're worth. You can't be. You can be paid what the market value as an employee is, but you cannot be paid what you're worth. And so I feel this way very strongly.
I don't know.
I see you.
There's a real benefit to just being an employee.
Oh yeah.
Like,
no.
Yeah.
Totally. But the argument is often, from an employee standpoint, if they lack honor and are living like a victim, they'll say, well, look, my company charges me out at $150 an hour and I get paid $40. Yeah. Like, this is wrong. And I would argue that there is a place at which that can go wrong. There's a place at which the top management can get way too much, and the bottom people are absolutely like living on poverty level, which I have zero respect for.
Like, and it's happening more and more right now. All the time.
I have zero respect for that. So understand, if you're part of a union that's fighting right now because you can't survive, like, there's got to be someone to fight for you. So I'm not saying that it's always wrong to do this, but I'm saying the attitude of being pitted against the people that are actually cutting your check. If there's any possible way to have honor involved rather than animosity, I think it's worth pursuing. And I think when I think about it on a small and medium-sized business level, I think that honor is something where, if there's a culture of honor, what that looks like is that there's dignity, that there's posture, and people care that the company does well, and the bosses care that their people do well. Yeah. But I think that there's a lot of areas in our life where honor is a question, and what does it look like? And I guess in bringing up this topic, I don't think that we have pontificated in a way to say this is what it looks like or should look like. But I think what we're doing is wrestling with something that is worth wrestling around.
It's hard though, man. It's hard to just honor people just for the, and I feel like that, like with honor, you're supposed to honor people for the position they hold, not even them on their.
But let's land this plane with a thought. Like, let's say you work for a tyrant, but you're good at your job and you love it, and maybe you love the guys you're working with or the people that you're working with. Okay? And so it's overall day to day, this is something that you can put your heart into, and you're doing a great job, and you're working with your hands, and you're doing what you got to do, and you've got talent in the area, but your boss is a tyrant. I believe that the temptation is to sabotage quietly and to take, take a bit off the job here, do a bit of something there, just undermine your boss. But I think the flip side is if you can honor someone who's even a tyrant, if you can live that kind of a life, my personal opinion is that doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Like those are the types of people that you're going to trust in a pinch. So I think that honor can lead to trust. I'm not sure that trust leads to honor necessarily, but I really believe that when I look at someone who is willing to look like the idiot for caring, to me, that's the definition of honor. And I'm willing to stand by someone like that.
It's definitely an honorable action.
I think that often we can feel pressured into being like everybody else and pretending that we've got to hate the guys on top. And I just think that regardless of who they are, I think that if there's a way that we can show honor without having to necessarily respect or trust, I just feel like somehow there's a benefit from that is, I mean, it's in scripture. Often I think that there's things in scripture that challenge us because it's just not natural. And if we aren't challenged somewhere, then we're just not going to wrestle with things that we should wrestle with. And I look at my own kids. I don't demand that they honor me. Like that's not my job, I don't think. But I appreciate if they honor me. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And I want to honor my parents well.
Yeah.
As long as they're around, to the best of my ability.
But is it your job as a parent to be an honorable person so that you can make it easier for your kids to honor you?
I mean, ideally, yes, but I can't control their perceptions.
Well, and even going back to what you were saying earlier with the circumstances, you have a tyrant of a boss, but you love your job and you love the team you have around you.
Yeah.
Like, you got to honor the fact that your boss put you in that position.
Yeah.
And built the team around you that you love.
I think so.
And there's always an opportunity to show honor, even if someone is a tyrant or...
I think so.
Like, you don't have to respect them to honor them.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. and yet I feel like, oof, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's a deep topic. I'm actually going to research this a little bit more because I'm actually intrigued by it. Like, what is the best approach in this topic? Yeah. It's a fun one. So.
Yeah. So there you go. We opened a can of worms, and we got messy, and this is where we'll leave it. Yeah. But I appreciate the discussion. It is something that I would like to see if there's stuff written around this with business in particular, and because I think that with family, I think that that's something that there's been more written around, but I just feel like it affects us. And I just do know that I like to have people who think about honor in my corner. I know that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And if any of you out there, if there's a piece of literature or anything out here that we're missing on this, drop a comment or send us a message.
Yeah, we'd love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're here to learn too.
And push back and tell us we're idiots. Like, we're okay with that. Like, we're talking about things that we believe matter in our day-to-day lives. And we think that if it matters to us, it probably matters to other people. And so, we appreciate some feedback. Let us know what you're thinking. And, man, all the best.